Okay, on to the miscellaneous section. We'll round up the basics. Slings. You will want a sling for your gun if you're out for longer than 10 minutes. Very handy things. Take the weight off your arms when you're just standing around or waiting. You want to go single point sling ideally, unless there's some very special sling for your gun, things like SA-80s and things like that. You buy the SA-80 sling. Single point slings though tend to be the best. They're the easiest to use and they give you the most freedom of movement. You will find with 2-point harnesses, 2-point slings, like I have for my Tavor, I've got the Israeli Army sling, which is a 2-point thing. You can't change shoulders and move to your other side. It's particularly annoying in CQB. You're shooting around one corner, but when you come to shoot around the other type of corner, you can't do it. You've got to swap shoulders, swap the gun over to the left-hand side, and you'll strangle yourself. Single point slings, you don't get that issue at all. Also, single point slings, just a little tip, remember and sling it over the opposite shoulder from the gun. If you shoot with the right, make sure you put the sling over your left side like this, so that when you release the gun to go for your pistol, the gun falls down on the left side rather than the right where your pistol is, and it doesn't get in the way. Okay, that's a little tip from Chris Costa there. So get yourself a sling, nice and cheap, 10-15 quid for a bungee sling. Single points are best, 2-point if you must. Radios, PCM radios, things like that. These are dirt cheap. We got 2 for 25 quid with chargers. Great. Comms are ideal if you're in a team. You will need it for milsims usually. And for day to day, if there's more than 2 or 3 of you, get radios. Like I say, very cheap, very easy to use, decent range, last a while. The expensive part, or the difficult part, is making sure that you buy a radio that you can get the proper earpiece for. You want a comfortable earpiece. I've got the sort of Agent Smith earpiece that wraps around and goes in here. And there's a little coil that goes down to my pouch. So that's great, it's nice and comfortable to wear, and I can still hear things, and when I speak I can hold it up. You'll see people go out with the big actual proper earpieces and helmets to suit. Fair enough, go for it. Big Klansman radios, things like that, big proper military, fake military radios. But radios, all comms helps. If you've ever used Team Talk in a game of Call of Duty, you'll know how much it helps having somebody telling you things that they can see that you can't. So radios, if you're going to be in a team, you're going to be playing milsims, things like that. Very handy. Silencers, things like this off the Tavor, these types for M4s, pistols. It's pure fashion, they don't really do anything. The guns are very quiet anyway. It does make a difference with the pistols. It does change the sound very much with gas blowback pistols. Sounds very cool, you get the proper. But with the other ones, these big things for the assault rifles and stuff, it's more fashion, it looks really cool, it doesn't change the sound much. It will deaden it a bit though, they are foam filled, they do catch some of the gas. So you'll hear the difference. If anybody more than 20 metres away isn't even going to hear you firing anyway. So, holsters, the latest fashion in holsters, polymer holsters like this, Serpa holsters with a little trigger piece to release. These are brilliant, so much better than the cloth types and so forth. Get yourself a polymer holster. It's so much more secure, so much easier to draw, and they're relatively cheap for some of them. The thing is though, you have to buy specifically the one for your gun. It has to fit your gun perfectly. But when you get the right holster to match the gun, so much easier. Go polymer on that. Various things. Gas, I was asked about gas selection for the blowback pistols and rifles. Doesn't matter, they're all pretty much close. Buy the one that's fashionable for you. You'll hear people say, oh, I use green gas, it's so much more powerful in this situation, that situation. I've seen tests and there's only like 10 feet per second in it. If you're that worried about 10 feet per second, knock yourself out trying to find it. I don't. I use whatever happens to be handy in the store that they recommend as the most powerful. It's usually in this area, it's ultra gas and things like that. They have brought a new version with no lubricant in it, which gives you another 10 or 15 feet per second. Yay! But your magazine isn't lubricated, your seals aren't lubricated. So every now and again you've got to lubricate them. So it adds another step that you didn't want in the first place. I don't want that hassle for 10 feet per second. So gas, buy whatever suits you, they're all pretty close. Pyro, this is a smoke grenade. You can get all airsoft sites I've been to will sell you pyro of some kind, grenades, flashbangs, things like that. You won't get them if you're under 18 in this country. They won't sell you explosives, but they are very handy, especially for CQB, for room clearance stuff. Grenades are a must. So it's personal preference. You buy them if you're that kind of guy, if you want to spend the money. But for a 10 quid you may only get 3 grenades. So it's not something you can go throwing grenades willy-nilly unless you're loaded. If you've got plenty of money, then by all means use them. They're great fun and they're essential for room clearance. A number of times we've been waiting and it's, I wish I had a flashbang, I wish I had a smoke. And we don't have any left usually at the end of the day. The big thing about airsoft is it's cheap. It's way cheaper than paintball. For the cost of one day's paintball, then I can buy a complete rig out and a gun for airsoft. Or I could buy enough ammo to play for the rest of my life. Where paintball is 10p per ball in this country, 10p per shot. Airsoft is 0.01p per shot, 0.001p per shot. It's crazy. So I can blaze away all day and it costs me nothing for ammo. Whereas with paintball, all the cost is ammo. So I don't see the point in making airsoft more expensive. So I'll buy some for a laugh, but I won't buy hundreds. Upgrade parts, dead cheap. This is only a tenner, this spring here, an upgrade spring. I put a high-speed toughened gear set in one of my M4s, £22. There's lots and lots of upgrade parts you can get to improve the performance of your gun. Barrels, tighter barrels help with the accuracy and give you a few feet per second more. And most are pretty easy to install, but I would recommend if you go on internal upgrades like gears and so forth, take it to a shop and get them to do it. It will cost you more, but it will work. If it doesn't work, you know whose ass to kick. You're not left sitting wondering what happened. If you end up, you've got lots of guns and gun bits lying around and you've got nothing to do, by all means get stuck in. Learn the bits of the gun, but you will make mistakes at first and it will all go horribly wrong. But you'll learn. But I would recommend if you do any upgrades, if it's internal to the gearbox, I would recommend you get a shop do it first. Okay? So that's the miscellaneous. So there you have it. That's a rough roundabout airsoft and all the bits and pieces you might need. And it's just my opinion, to be honest. Opinions are like arseholes, everybody's got one. If you've got an opinion, feel free to make your own video and don't bother me. What else can we say? Airsoft is fun, it's cheap once you've got the parts. Or if you want to hire it, it's certainly way cheaper than paintball, way cooler looking. And I would recommend anybody try it. It's, for those who've never played, it's like Call of Duty for real. To a certain extent. It does hurt, it does get you fit, you will run around, you will have nothing but respect for soldiers after you've played airsoft for a day, because you will be so tired lugging the gear around and running around in forests and so forth, or being shot at. As Winston Churchill said, there's nothing more exhilarating than being shot at without effect. So if you're being shot at and not getting killed, that is the most exciting thing in the world. And airsoft kind of simulates that to a T. Anybody who's ever played CQB and had grenades flung at them and BBs bouncing off the walls around them and all the rest of it, or wondering if you're going to get shot the minute you step round a doorway, it is very intense. It gets the blood up. And I know a lot of military people who play airsoft. There are lots of military, ex-military, police and so forth, as well as all the fat IT guys and students. So I would recommend anybody try airsoft. I would recommend you try it before you go out and buy loads of guns though, remember that kids. So do a quick Google search for your area for airsoft and you'll be surprised how many airsoft sites there are, and buying airsoft gear, once you're set up, the internet is your friend. You can search anywhere. Local shops to me are likes of Land Warrior Airsoft and Airsoft World. They're like 40-minute drives from me. That doesn't matter because I've got the internet. I can order from EB Airsoft in China, where we get lots of cheap parts and clone parts. I can get stuff from flecktarn.co.uk. I can buy, well, I've got that latest camo from militaryfirst.com or .co.uk. The internet is your friend. Have a look around. Talk to people on airsoft sites. They will tell you where they bought kit on the cheap. RSOV.com, for example, sells cheap guns. Your country may have difficulties bringing the guns in, though. It may be cheap, But when it hits your country, is your customs and excise going to charge you extra? Are they going to crush the guns? Some people do. So it's all down to personal experience, the sites you've used, the sites you would recommend. Speak to people. As always, the recommendation is go to an airsoft site, play the game, talk to the people who play it with experience. They will tell you what to buy, what they use, what they recommend. This is just my recommendations, this is just my view on the thing. And as I say, it's just an opinion. You're free to ignore it. Don't bombard me with nonsense. Make your own video, tell me your thoughts. Yeah, go for it. But don't put in the comments, oh, I think this, I think that. You're as well making your own video and letting people know, let other noobs know. And then we'll all be educated. How about that? Back to the studio.